Welcome to the Sunday Night Rewind Week 12 recap. Let's get right to it. Lots of action today and get things started off with Jahmyr Gibbs and his over 200-yard performance. Monster day for Gibbs and the Detroit Lions, who took down the New York Giants at home in overtime. Just an incredible performance from Gibbs. Let's get to the stats here. Check out the box scores. We've got the Lions, who came into this following a loss. They hadn't had two losses in a row in in 3 years. And so the Lions box score: Jared Goff, 279 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick on the day. There's Jahmyr Gibbs' stat line: 219 rushing yards, had a 69-yard touchdown in overtime to win this one for the Lions. The Giants did get the ball back, but weren't able to move it down past midfield on the Lions. 2 rushing touchdowns for Gibbs on the day. Amon-Ra with another huge game, 9 catches for 149 and a touchdown. Gibbs added another touchdown through the air, so finished with 3 total touchdowns, 264 total yards on the day. Monster for Jahmyr Gibbs. David Montgomery, not so much. He just went 5 for 18 in this smash opportunity. So Monty, not so much of a day here. He added 19 yards through the air. Brock Wright filling in for Sam Laporta, out for the season. Brock just 3 for 29 today. And Jameson Williams, no catches on 3 targets on the day. Disappointing one. Over for the Giants, Jameis Winston. Winston catches a touchdown today, throws for 2 and 366 yards. Probably the play of the year, his catch and run down the sideline. It was a reverse to Gunnar Olszewski, and then he tossed it to Jameis down the sideline. It was about a 30-yard pass, catches it at about the 20, jukes one of the Lions linebackers. I would not want to be him in the film room, but he gets juked out of his shoes. Jameis strolls into the end zone. Just an amazing play. You've got to check it out. And yes, Winston finishes with 366 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick on the day. Adds that catch for a touchdown. Wan'Dale Robinson goes 9 for 156. He had a long 40-yard touchdown in the first quarter. We got Tyron Tracy going 20 for 62 on the ground. Devin Singletary added 14 for 47 on the ground. So the Giants' run game, not too bad today. Who am I looking at here? Theo Johnson. Geez, why couldn't I think? Theo Johnson with a big day. Also 3 for 77. He had a long catch in the second half there, 39-yarder. Tyron Tracy added 3 for 68 through the air. That's who I was thinking of when I saw the T. Johnson for some reason. Anyway, Isaiah Hodgins with a touchdown grab. He went 2 for 42 on the day. Darius Slayton just 1 for 23. All right. Next up, we have the let's do who do we want? Yeah, we'll do JSN. All right. Jackson Smith-Njigba on the day, 8 for 167 and 2 touchdowns against the Tennessee Titans. JSN continuing his hot play all season long. Top target getter in the league. Sam Darnold had no problem finding him again today. Darnold finishing 16 for 26, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns on the day. Kenneth Walker added 11 carries for 71 yards. Zach Charbonnet, of course, stealing the touchdown once again, 6 carries for 35 yards for Charbs. There's JSN, 10 targets, 8 catches, 167, and 2 touchdowns. Kenny Walker added 30 yards through the air. Otherwise, you had not much going on. Rashid Shaheed with a big fat donut on 2 targets. Cooper Kupp added 2 catches for 24 yards. And A.J. Barner went 2 for 18. Over to the Titans, where we had a decent showing from Cam Ward here against a tough Seattle D, 28-42 for Ward on the day, 256 yards and 1 passing touchdowns with no picks. He added 37 on the ground with a score. Tony Pollard struggled, as did Tajay Spears in the run game. Pollard just 20 yards, Spears just 4. Gunnar Helm leading the way for the Titans receiving. He had 6 catches for 51 yards. Chimere Dike getting into the end zone. Not once, but twice. He had a kick return for a touchdown today. And Chim added 5 catches for 44 yards. The pride out of Waukesha North High School. Chimere Dike looking like a hot pickup this week. Hopefully you already had him, though, because I've been talking about Chimere all week, all the multiple weeks here about Chimere Dike. Chigo Okonkwo added 3 for 40. Titans were out without Alec Iomanner today, so didn't have much else going there in the receiving game. You can see Pollard and Spears both 4 catches for 21 yards on the day for the Titans. Next up, let's see who we want to get to here. Let's just do it. Shedeur Sanders, his debut, and it was a big one. Well, at least for the Browns' sake. A win is a win is a win. And that's what Shedeur got the Cleveland fans. And I don't know, stats-wise, it wasn't anything too crazy. We can bring up the old box score here for the Cleveland-Las Vegas matchup. This was a first Browns win for a starting quarterback in their first start for the Browns since Eric Zaire in 1995 with Bill Belichick at the helm of the Cleveland Browns, the old Cleveland Browns, that would be. Here you see Shedeur, 11 of 20, 209 yards, 1 passing touchdown to Dylan Sampson, who took a run. I don't know, it was a dump off, and then he took it all the way. So 11 for 20, 209 yards, a touchdown, and a pick for Shedeur. Quinshon Judkins added 2 touchdowns on the ground for the day, 47 yards only, though, for him. There you see Dylan Sampson, 7 carries for 23 yards. He added those 2 catches for 59 yards with the 66-yard touchdown, which means, yes, his other catch was for -7 yards. Isaiah Bond added 2 catches for 58 yards with a 52-yarder. Harold Fannin, 4 for 40 on the day. David Njoku, nothing. Jerry Jeudy, just 1 39-yard catch. So Shedeur didn't do anything too spectacular other than he got the win, which is in the NFL the bottom line for quarterbacks. It is about winning. Fantasy-wise for Shedeur, dynasty-wise, I mean, it definitely helps his stock. He got the win. So That's what it really ultimately boils down to. And he's going to play again. And so there's opportunity. I don't know how much I'm paying for the guy who throws for 200 yards and now is the Cleveland starting running back, but there you have it. All right. Ashton Jeanty for the Raiders. He got into the end zone through the air late. He got 50 yards rushing on the ground. You can see there, added 8 for 58 through the air. So over 100 total yards for Jeanty. Brock Bowers went 6 for 55 for the Raiders. Tyler Lockett added 4 for 62. Tell me why are they playing Tyler Lockett? I mean, I get it. He's got a connection with Geno, but don't you want to play like your younger players when you're in this situation that the Raiders are in right now? I don't get it. Geno, as I mentioned there, Geno threw 30 for 44, 285 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. We've got, let's see, Trey Tucker, 3 for 28. Otherwise not a whole lot going on there for the Raiders. Okay. Next up, we want to talk New England, Cincinnati, and the story here, Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry going, I don't know, he had his career high. What was it? 111 yards. Let me bring it down there. 115 yards, 7 catches for 115 yards, and a touchdown for Hunter Henry, who sets, again, his career high. Here's the box scores. First off, for the Patriots, Drake May, 22 of 35, 294, a touchdown, and a pick. Travion Henderson finishing with 66 yards on the day, well outpaced Ramondre Stevenson. So that is the key here. It shows Henderson has earned the touches, 18 carries versus Stevenson 6. That's great news for dynasty owners. So Henderson, just 66 total yards, but again, made the most out of it. He added 15 yards on 3 catches as well. Drake May did add 22 yards on the ground. There you have Hunter Henry's stat line, 7 for 115 and the touchdown. Austin Hooper added 3 for 39. Just seeing Baker fall to the ground. I'll get to that one later on. That was a rough night. Yes. Mac Hollins, 2 for 30. Stephon Diggs, just 2 for 20 on the day. So, yeah, not much else going on receiving wise for the Patriots. Over to the Bengals here. And the story here was that Joe Burrow did not go. Jamar Chase out with a suspension. And then you had T. Higgins looking to smash in this opportunity. Well, Higgins went out with a concussion after getting 5 catches for 31 yards on 6 targets. So watch T. Higgins, monitor his status for next week. Very unlikely that he'll play, being that the Bengals play on Thanksgiving night. So I would look for help elsewhere other than Higgins. As for Joe Flacco, 19 for 37, 183 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick on the day. Chase Brown, 19 for 107 on the ground. So that was nice. Let's see here. Yoshivas. Yoshivas should be a decent pickup now with Higgins out. If you hadn't already picked him up with Chase being out, now you can go ahead and grab him with Higgins being out. Yoshivas went 4 for 61. Mike Gesicki back from his injury stint, 4 catches for 35 yards. Michael Tinsley did get into the end zone, 2 catches for 29 yards, and Chase Brown there added 2 catches for 23 yards. So he finished with 130 total yards, but no touchdowns this week for Chase Brown. All right, let's head over to the other late game that was super exciting. This had the Eagles traveling down to Big D to take on the Cowboys. Eagles jumped out to the big lead, but George Pickens helped bring the Cowboys back as they pulled out the 24-21 victory. And George Pickens, well over 100 yards once again. Let's get to the box score here. There we are. All right. First up, we'll start with the Cowboys. I showed you Pickens. So start with the Cowboys. There you have George Pickens, 9 for 146 and a touchdown. Dak Prescott, 23 of 36 for 354, 2 touchdowns and a pick on the day. Javonte Williams adding 20 carries for 87 yards. And Dak did get into the end zone on an 8-yard scamper, helped bringing the Cowboys back. I think that was a touchdown that tied it at 21. It was a wild game. I mean, there was a block punt that, well, it wasn't totally a block punt. The Cowboys, I think it was Ryan Flournoy, he barely tipped the punt, but they called it roughing the kicker, which allowed the Eagles, this was back in the first quarter, that allowed the Eagles to continue their drive, which they ended up scoring a touchdown on. So that one shouldn't have been called there. But late in the game, there was a punt return that the Eagles fumbled, and that led to the Cowboys getting the opportunity for the go-ahead score. CD added 4 for 75 on 11 targets. So rough day for CD considering he had 11 targets there, but it was a tough matchup with the Eagles secondary. Jake Ferguson goes 5 for 60 on 6 targets. And let's see, Kendrick Turpin had a long 48-yarder in there as well for the Cowboys. One thing to note there, Malik Davis is definitely the backup to own here in Dallas. He went 3 for 24, but he's the one getting the looks, not Jaden Blue or anyone else there for Dallas. Over to the Eagles, and so much for the A.J. Brown narrative that he's not getting looks. 8 for 110 on the day on 10 targets, and he got into the end zone once, almost had a second touchdown, but his second foot didn't come down in bounds. Jalen Hurts finishing 27 to 39 with the touchdown and 289 yards through the air, added 2 touchdowns and 33 yards on the ground. Saquon with a rough day, though, all day long struggling. He had just 10 for 22 with a fumble lost. He did grab 7 catches for 52 yards. So not all was lost for Saquon with 74 total yards there. Dallas Goedert just 2 for 20. Devontae Smith, decent night, 6 for 89 on 11 targets. So both of the big guys getting plenty of targets along with Saquon. I mean, you've got 29 of the targets there. 29 of the 39 targets there to those 3, A.J. Brown, Devonta, and Saquon. All right. Next up, where do we want to go? Let's go back to some of the early games here. Yeah, we'll head to Chicago, where the Steelers traveled to take on the Bears. Aaron Rodgers sat in this one. Mason Rudolph for the Steelers finished all right, 24 of 31 for 171 and 1 touchdown and 1 pick. 1 touchdown was to Pat Freiermuth. An earlier touchdown was ruled a run by DK Metcalf. So DK, 2 for 12 on the ground and the touchdown. He added 5 for 22 on 8 targets through the air. Calvin Austin, 4 for 36. Kenny Gainwell once again stepping things up. He had a monster run that they called him out at the 1, which Jaylen Warren then punched in from the 1. Gainwell goes 10 for 92 on the day, added 6 for 30 through the air. Warren goes 18 carries for 68 yards. So they continue their dual workload in the backfield. Jaylen Warren, no catches. All right. Interesting how Jaylen Warren, no catches on the day, but Kenny Gainwell's getting it done, All right. For the Bears, who pull out another tight victory, Caleb 19 of 35 for 239 and 3 touchdowns, 2 of them to DJ Moore. He goes 5 for 64 on 7 targets. Rome Odunze just 3 for 53 today. Colston Loveland 4 for 49 and added a touchdown. So Loveland getting home on the day. Luther Burden 3 for 46. And then over to the run game, Kyle Monangai got into the end zone. He finished 12 for 48, and the touchdown noted here is that he outcarried DeAndre Swift. So I don't know if I want to call it a full shift there to Monangai, but he did have 12 carries. DeAndre Swift just 8, and much more efficient there as well for Monangai. You can see Caleb added 21 yards on the ground, as did Luther Burden. He added 15 yards on the ground as the Bears pull out the win, and they move to 8-3. The Steelers still on top, now tied with the Baltimore Ravens in the AFC North. The Ravens took on the New York Football Jets, and that one was in Baltimore. Baltimore prevailed 23-10. Let's get over to the Ravens box score to start with. Derrick Henry got 2 rushing touchdowns, finished with 64 yards on the ground. He added 2 for 24 through the air, so 88 total yards for Henry. Lamar still struggling fantasy-wise, but gets the win. What can they say? I mean, he may not be lighting it up fantasy-wise, but they're winning ball games. 13 of 23 for Lamar for 153. He added just 11 yards on the ground. Zay Flowers, again, doing minimal work to get into our fantasy lineups. I mentioned on the Start Sit show how he had just snuck into the wide receiver 3 range in like 6 straight weeks. Well, he does it here again, probably. We'll see how the week finishes out, but 5 catches for 58 yards for Flowers. He added 11 yards on the ground. Mark Andrews, just 1 catch for 9 yards. He also added 2 yards on the ground. So 11 big total yards for Mark Andrews on the day. All right. Over to the Jets. And Tyrod Taylor getting the start here over Justin Fields. He goes 17 of 28 for 222 and a touchdown. That touchdown to John Mechie. Mechie definitely stepping up in his opportunity here with the Jets. He caught the 1 touchdown, added 6 for 65 through the air. Breece Hall, 16 carries for 44 yards. He added 75 yards on 4 catches. So Breece Hall still having a decent day yardage-wise. Mason Taylor goes 3 for 21, and A.D. Mitchell 2 for 42 for the New York Football Jets. All right. Let's see which other early games. Yeah, we'll do the Packers. Packers taking on the Vikings at Lambeau Field. This one was pretty ugly all the way. It's not like the Packers dominated, but it was the Emmanuel Wilson show today. Wilson getting the start for the injured Josh Jacobs. Packers resting him so he could hopefully play this Thursday against the Lions on Thanksgiving. Emmanuel Wilson just grinds out 28 carries for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns on the day for the Packers. Jordan Love goes 14 to 21 for just 139 yards. Nothing special there. He added 15 yards on the ground. Christian Watson leading the way for the receiving corps, 5 for 49 on 7 targets for Watson. Dontavian Wicks, 2 for 32 on 4 targets, and Romeo Doubs, 2 for 23 on 3 targets. Wilson also added 18 yards through the air. Over to the Vikings, and it was another rough day at the office for J.J. McCarthy. This one really, really ugly. 12 for 19 for just 87 yards. 2 picks for McCarthy. You can see here the Vikings receiving core struggling as McCarthy struggles. 4 catches for 48 yards for Jefferson, 4 for 19 for TJ Hawkinson. Jordan Addison gets a donut on 1 target. It's hard to start these Vikings receivers now with McCarthy struggling so well. I mean, you're forced to play Jefferson if you've got him, but geez, man, it is getting rough there with McCarthy's performance. I don't know what they're going to do there for going forward. Jordan Mason, 8 for 42 on the ground. Aaron Jones, 9 for 41 on the ground. And McCarthy added 10 yards as well on the ground. 3 for 16 through the air for Aaron Jones. I don't know if they got to work on short passing game, something to get this kid going, because otherwise this is going to be a wasted season for the Vikings and their pass catchers for sure. All right. Let's do, Indy traveling to the Chiefs to take on Patrick Mahomes in Arrowhead. Chiefs pull this one out. Indy had the lead most of the way here, but in the fourth quarter, the Chiefs made the comeback, scoring 11 to tie it in the fourth quarter, then kicked the game winner in overtime. For the Colts, Daniel Jones, 19 to 31 with 2 touchdowns, just 181 yards. Jonathan Taylor struggled all day to get going, 16 carries for 58 yards. He wasn't able to cement the game away, put it that way, for the Colts in the fourth quarter as the Chiefs defense stiffened on him. Tyler Warren goes 5 for 45. Michael Pittman gets a touchdown. He goes 5 for 27. Alec Pierce, after some real strong weeks here, just 1 for 26 today. And Josh Downs added 2 catches for 10 yards. Over to the Chiefs, and Patrick Mahomes goes 29 of 46 for 352 in the comeback attempt. No touchdowns, though. 1 interception. Kareem Hunt up over 100 yards. He goes 30 carries for 104 yards and a rushing touchdown. Rashee Rice, solid day, 8 for 141 on 12 targets. Xavier Worthy goes 4 for 59 on 8 targets. Travis Kelce, 4 for 43 on 6 targets. That is the concentrated volume. You see Brashard Smith there gets 3 for 31. He added 5 yards on the ground. And Kareem Hunt added 26 yards through the air. So 130-yard total day for Kareem Hunt as the Chiefs stay alive in the playoff picture in the AFC. They move to 6-5. 6-5, trying to stay pace with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars traveled to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. And we can see here the Jags pulled this one out in overtime. This one of the wildest games of the day. We had multiple defensive touchdowns, pretty much what you expect from a Jags Cardinals game. I told you in the start-sit show how this one was going to be wild because these two teams play at a frantic pace. Trevor Lawrence goes 18 to 30 for 256, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Travis Etienne, 15 carries, 86 yards on the ground. Bushul Tutin, rough day on the ground, just 7 for 17. T-Law added 29 yards on the ground. Brenton Strange in his return for the Jags goes 5 for 93, had a big 30-yard catch there. Parker Washington gets into the end zone with one of those Lawrence touchdown catches, 5 for 71 for Parker. Jacoby Myers goes 4 for 50 with 1 touchdown, and Travis Etienne added the other touchdown reception. He added 3 catches for 30 yards to his rushing total. over to the Cardinals, and Jacoby Brissett just slinging it around again, 33 of 49 for 317 and a touchdown. He added 20 yards on the ground. Not much on the run for the run game, as always, for the Cardinals here when they're on their fourth and fifth string running backs. Michael Carter led the way, 5 for 28. Bam Knight did get into the end zone, only 12 yards, though. Michael Wilson, again, 10 for 118 here as he is dominating with Marvin Harrison being out. So Michael Wilson just continuing the strong play here. 10 catches on 15 targets for Wilson. Trey McBride goes 9 for 79 on 10 targets, and Greg Dortch got into the end zone again, 6 catches for 53 yards. So Jacoby Brissett making all 3 of these guys fantasy relevant over the last few weeks. Here, Michael Carter did add 3 catches for 30 yards, and Bam Knight 4 for 20, and just another monster volume performance from Jacoby Brissett. I don't see things changing here for Arizona, so continue to look for those Arizona wide receivers on your waiver wire. Hopefully you picked up Michael Wilson this last week if he was still available in one of your redraft leagues. And Greg Dortch, definitely an option to throw in there as well. All right, and we can finish things off for the Sunday noon and 3 o'clock games, or 4 o'clock games Eastern, with the Falcons taking down the Saints. Kirk Cousins getting the start here for the Falcons. He goes 16 of 23 for 199, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Bijan goes 14 for 70 on the ground. Tyler Algier added 12 carries for 44 yards. Darnell Mooney getting the wide receiver 1 looks with Drake London out. Well, not much pass attempts, but Mooney goes 3 for 74 and a touchdown. Kyle Pitts just 2 for 25, and Bijan added 2 catches for 37 yards there. Over to the Saints, Tyler Shook, monster volume here, 30 for 43, just 243 yards though, and 1 interception. The lone touchdown for the Saints looks like it came from where did the touchdown come from? There we go. There's the interception return from Cousins. Go figure. So not much going the story here, though. Alvin Kamara gets hurt, his knee. So you want to monitor that for next week. Kamara just finished with 11 yards rushing on the day. Chris Olave, 9 catches for 70 yards, so he still got his volume, 13 targets there. Juwan Johnson also getting a decent amount, 6 catches for 46 yards for a tight end. That's pretty solid. Devin Neal getting some work. You can see he got plenty of catches, 5 for 43 in the comeback opportunity there. So Devin Neal, somebody to check out on waivers if Kamara is unable to go next week. All right. Any more late games? Did I get them all? I think I got them all. All right. And we'll finish this one off with my least favorite game, as my Buccaneers just got absolutely roadhoused here by the LA Rams. This one didn't start off good at all. It was the second touchdown by the Rams that really put this one away. I don't want to say the Bucs just gave up after it, but it just really deflated their mojo. So the Rams were up 7-0, and Cade Otton bobbled a catch near midfield that the Rams defensive back stole from him. I don't know if his knee was down or not, but Otton didn't really catch it clearly, and he didn't make it easy for the refs to call him down. But regardless, they called it a touchdown for the Rams. That put them up 14-0. Punted back to the Rams. They scored. It was 21-0 in the first quarter. And it was over before we even had a chance to blink. And so Matthew Stafford, though, give him the credit. here as he led a flawless Rams attack. Once again, they just took the Bucs out to the woodshed here. Stafford goes 25 of 35 for 273 and 3 touchdowns, continues his MVP-like performance. He's gone, I think 7 or 8 games in a row here without a pick. Now he's just on fire. Puka goes 7 for 97. Devontae Adams gets 2 of those touchdowns from Stafford. He goes 5 for 62 with the 2 touchdowns. Colby Parkinson, starting in place of the injured Tyler Higbee, goes 4 for 41 with the touchdown. Kyren Williams, just 46 yards on the ground. Blake Corum added 24 yards on the ground. But again, this Rams attack is just playing amazing. And it's crazy how one play turned this, like, the momentum of this one around. And, it was so close to where they could have called Otten down, and who knows what the game would have looked like otherwise. But, it is what it is. The Bucs should have recovered, been able to, find a way to suck it up and bounce back from that, and they didn't. And the real story here, though, now for the Bucs going forward is Baker Mayfield. Baker went down with what I thought might have been a rib injury, but they're saying it's just shoulder, so you have to monitor it after the doctors check him out back home. Basically, he got sacked on the play right before the last play of the half, and then he tried throwing a full, he tried throwing it from like the 30, 35-yard line on a Hail Mary on the last play of the half, and he did something because it only went like 45 yards, and he went down and didn't play the whole second half. So monitor Baker Mayfield. Otherwise, it's going to be Teddy Two Gloves, who he came in and played the whole second half. He went 18 of 15 for 62 yards, so nothing great there. The Rams do have a great defense, though, so not surprising. Sean Tucker led the way on the ground, 12 carries for 42 yards, a far cry from his last week performance against Buffalo, but I expected that, being that the Rams were the number 1 rush defense in the league. Rachaad White added 7 carries for 38 yards. Baker, as you can see there, got 19 yards on the ground. Emeka Egbuka shut down for most of the day until the fourth quarter. He ended up with 32 yards. Cade Otton there, you can see just 4 for 21 and had that. Basically, it should have been a fumble for Otton, really. But his knee was on the ground. I don't know. Whatever. I'm showing my own homerism, but I don't know. That play was rough. Again, though, Otton didn't do himself any favors on that play. Tez Johnson did get into the end zone. He went 3 for 21 with the touchdown. Chris Godwin, in his return, they limited his snaps, but he did have 2 catches for 9 yards. So, again, for the Bucs going forward, we'll see Baker Mayfield's status on Monday, and I don't know. It doesn't look good for the upcoming week. I would think that Baker will probably have to miss a game or 2 here. I know Baker's tough, but Bucs have the playoffs to think about. Problem is now they fall to 6-5, and Carolina plays tonight, and they could win and be in the first place. Now, they're of course not favored against the Niners, but we'll see. So I don't know. Things not looking good down in Tampa. Things are looking great for the Rams. Matthew Stafford, just a monster performance. If you've got Stafford and you've been lingering with whether to start him or not, just plug him in now. I know I've got one team where I have Josh Allen, Dak, and Stafford, and every week I go back and forth between Stafford and Dak. And it's not easy. But Stafford just looks so good. The Bucs defense had no chance against him. He's just in a zone right now, and I would be playing Stafford if you've got him for sure. But anyway, that's about it. That's all I've got for you for the Sunday Night Rewind. Thank you for joining. Be sure to check out all the great content we've got coming your way this week, and be sure to remember that you never stop working.